is that they give people 3 options: small, medium, and large, and let the voters vote. And I think that'll be more palatable for people. But I also feel that if you look at Tenafly, who has a highly rated school, their property values are high. Do I want our taxes to go up? No. But I think everyone wouldn't mind going up a little bit, maybe $25, if our schools went up to, all of them to be Blue Ribbon. We just got a Blue Ribbon Award in School 3. So I believe that where there are high property values, you have an excellent school system. But I also don't want us burdened. As a single mother, I can't afford it myself.
I think that, you know, I'm the only one with a child in the school system, so I have a personal vested interest in the schools, and my son's now in the middle school and, you know, is planning to go to the high school. So obviously this is a really important issue for my family, but I think that the voters, and no one should be demonized however they voted. This was a tough vote for everybody. Everybody loves the kids. I don't think there's anyone in Fort Lee that doesn't care about the kids and the future of our children. And we've shown that by even this past year passing the school budget. So I think that's not the issue, and that should be taken off the table. And anyone who thinks that way, I'm telling you as a parent, that's not what's going on. And I can tell you as a parent, there's a lot of parents that are concerned about the schools and voted against the budget. And there are a lot of people who don't have kids in the school, the budget bond, who don't have kids in the school, who also who voted for it. Because it was just a tough decision, because there's an issue of, as I described, the taxes that are out of control in general, and people are worried about their mortgages, and they're deciding what they can and can't buy. And that's a very important issue, and that's where the council really needs to be aware of what's happening to everybody in Fort Lee. And the other issue is accountability. $100 million is a lot of money, and unfortunately, there was in the video things like a broken glass window that wasn't fixed, and people said, wow, I'm paying all these taxes, why can't they fix a broken window? So I hope what will happen, I hope obviously the bond issue comes back, and I hope they listen to the people, really analyze the results, and understand that everybody wants what's best for the kids, but they need to feel comfortable and know that the money will be spent wisely, and that they won't necessarily get an increase in their school budget every year.
The next round. The next question is from the homeowners again. And this question is, within the past year, it appears that there once were single-family homes. They are now being knocked down and replaced with duplexes. With that change comes additional traffic, parking issues, increased demand for services, etc. Although we need additional rateables to keep the tax rate down, what is your vision of the type of development that you think Fort Lee should undertake? Please be specific. Okay. The first person to speak will be Isla.
Thank you. Truthfully, I think we have enough parking problems. I think we have enough duplexes. I think that if we look at the master plan, which we were ordered by law in 2001, we have an entire volume that plans our development in the borough. And the shining star in that plan was the Centuria development, which was the new downtown, the revitalization. And I believe that we should not have a lot of single-family homes being knocked down and replaced with duplexes to add to the traffic.
Then why are you doing
Okay, Martha.
I agree with Isla about that we have enough duplexes, and we just talked about the schools, and that obviously puts a lot of pressure on the schools and other services. In terms of what kind of development I'd like to see, I'll just give you an example. If I had been involved in the Centuria RFP and discussion, what are we so proud of in Fort Lee? One of the things we're so proud of is our movie history, right? But we always talk about it, it's the past, you know, it's not the future. And for me, from my background being in television and seeing this happen before, I would have said, why don't we consider getting a studio? Someone to invest, the people that own the property, show them why it would be very good for them to have a studio on their property, still have stores, plan for the stores, a movie theater, but it would give us, first of all, it wouldn't take much services. It obviously, having a studio doesn't involve schools. It doesn't involve traffic, because many people would come from the city to work here, and the people that came from other places, it would be minor traffic. The second thing is, it would create an excitement here. You know, it's really unfortunate that we lost CNBC to Englewood Cliffs. I don't really know how that happened. I wasn't involved at that time, but that would have been an amazing opportunity. Could you imagine that we would have had a studio there? So that's the kind of thinking out of the box that I think we need to do. And we need to remember our past, but bring it into the future. Thank you.
I believe we have ordinances on the books, and those ordinances should be enforced. And if a single-family house is knocked down and a duplex needs variances, then it shouldn't be granted. I also believe that what type of development we need would be something that would go over the parking lot, our municipal parking lot. I think decking that parking lot, adding parking to it, putting a park up on top with some stores would revitalize Main Street. I think it would generate walking traffic, and I think it would be beneficial to the store owners and the homeowners because of the increase in the tax rateables that it would generate also. And I believe this could be done through a private developer when the time is right.
When my term expired from the Board of Adjustment, I wasn't put back on. And I asked why, and I was told I asked too many questions. So we need more people to ask questions, and we need more people to say no at the Board of Adjustment. But let me go back to the original premise of this question. Who says we need additional rateables? This, to me, is a sickness, because people say, well, we have to build, and we have new rateables. But what happens when we get the rateables and the tax in? We spend it, and then your taxes still go up. And then we have to have new rateables. And what happens? You get it. Why not just stop, take a breath, and look around and say, we have 37,000 people packed into almost about 2.5 miles, 2.5 square miles. 37,000 people. Want to bring more in? I don't. When I was preparing for tonight, you know, I had a statement on Centuria, and I put in bold letters, and I'll say it now, I am opposed to any plan that would add density and congestion to Fort Lee. Simple. So, let's take a breath, see what we have, maybe put a moratorium on building, and take a look and see what we have. And you'll realize, some people talk about Main Street, and they say, well, the stores are empty on Main Street. But if you look around, we have a lot of vibrant malls. The Linwood Plaza was just redone. You can't even park in there anymore. We have what we need in Fort Lee. So let's not look for more. Let's enjoy what we have. And let's cut expenses to keep the taxes down, not look for more money to come in.
Third question from the association also. As you see, Fort Lee as of October 12, 2010, what programs or initiatives would you pursue to make Fort Lee a better place to live, work, and establish a business? Please give a broad answer. Outline possibilities, and what are your goals for the next 4 years? We'll start with Jan.
As I said before, I'm for taking the parking lot in the center part of Fort Lee. I believe the type of stores that would attract would be restaurants, would be the type of stores that would generate walking traffic, which would help our business, which would provide parking, because we would put another parking level on it. And I think that could be accomplished as soon as the economy turns, and I would hope that would happen in the next 4 years. That's the biggest thing that I can see, the biggest area need of redevelopment, in my opinion. And as far as not doing anything on I'll call it the redevelopment area number 5, since I think that's just a complete waste. Nobody wants to come over the bridge and see vacant lots with weeds growing over it. To make Fort Lee vibrant and to help, it needs to be developed.
Okay, well, in terms of what programs or initiatives for the next 4 years, it's a long time, especially since a council person's only in for 3 years. But I'll start small and first of all, I think it'd be nice to, in terms of quality of life, again, speaking as a parent and someone who uses the community center, I think it would be nice that we didn't have meters that went to midnight, so that when I go see my child go play a game, I don't come out with a $28 ticket because the meters by the community center go to midnight. I think that's ridiculous. And it's also a tax on us, and it hurts families. The second thing is, I know this may sound, it's not in Fort Lee, but I think it helps Fort Lee. We have a shuttle that goes different places in Fort Lee. Wouldn't it be nice if we offered people in Fort Lee the shuttle to go across the bridge? It would also cut down on the traffic, the congestion that we're talking about. It would also save people money. Even if they paid a little bit, they wouldn't have to pay what they pay to go across the bridge now, and it would be a nice convenience for people who live in Fort Lee. They would show their ID, and they would get dropped off, and they could take the A train, and they would help the ozone layer that way. The next thing that I think would help quality of life is, I agree with Jan, I know that private property, we can't tell them what business to bring in, but I do know in the budget there's business development, there's money spent on business development, so I assume we can work on business development, and I would look to begin a process for creating a new business development team. And I think that if we really could come out with some like out-of-the-box ideas like a studio and things like that, that really is exciting and that could create a buzz, I think people would want to come here. You know, I think that unfortunately there's kind of no buzz about Fort Lee anywhere. So those are just some ideas.
I guess I'm the odd man out here because I believe that business people know what to do. If it's profitable to put a business in Fort Lee, they'll do it. What I would do as a councilman is I would try to simplify the regulation. I would cut the red tape and excessive regulation and fees. To start a new business nowadays in Fort Lee is a nightmare, time-wise and money-wise. So let government get out of the way, number one. I'm not saying let them come in unregulated. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying expedite and help. That would be a tremendous, because I was speaking with a man one time that wanted to have a store in Fort Lee. And by the time I told him where he had to go, what he had to do, he had a headache. He says, which way to Inglewood? Shopper parking. The smallest thing gets the biggest applause. That lousy quarter that we forget to put in the meter costs 28 bucks. Give free shopper parking to Fort Lee residents. We have parking stickers on our cars. All they have to do is give us 1 hour a week of free parking. That's all we ask, right? We run into the post office, we run into the bakery. Don't give us the $28 ticket. Scan our sticker, done. It might cost a few bucks, but you know what? It would gain tremendous goodwill. Now, one more thing. Jan Goldberg is correct when he says that nobody up here owns stores on Main Street. We can't do a thing about renting a store on Main Street. We can't tell people to lower rents. We can't tell them what to do. We can only tell them if the building is in disrepair to fix it. But this logic doesn't carry over to Centuria. Here, this government is very much involved in the development of Centuria, and quite frankly, it's why it's still vacant, because for the last 8 years, the economic development team we had did nothing but waste money and time. So this is an area I'd like to speak about later if we could. Thank you.
As liaison to the health department, I kept the health fair flourishing. We're having the annual health fair October 23rd. We will have flu shots. And last year, swine flu was a big epidemic. We got a grant for $100,000, thanks to me, to pay for all our swine flu shots. I am chairwoman of our newly formed environmental committee and have already presented half a dozen meaningful programs for implementation to the governing body. I am currently working on a recycling program that would impose on developers and property owners alike an obligation to be environmentally sensitive. The council continues to consider various green products and services. Recently, we had a presentation with a man who does recycling of clothes. I also had a presentation with a man who did recycling of cans and garbage. I would like to see the entire community involved in doing the right thing for the environment while also saving the taxpayer dollars. We can all enroll in New Jersey's Clean Energy Program at njcleanenergy.com. They have a newsletter that provides info that provides savings for New Jersey residences and businesses. A telephone number for info is 1-866-NJ-SMART. My goal is to have our borough become Sustainable Jersey certified. Sustainable Jersey provides clear how-to guidance and tools to enable communities to make progress. Every one of you can have a free home energy analysis in the New Jersey's Clean Energy Program. It also provides access to grants and identifies existing and new funding opportunities for municipalities to make progress to go green, save money, and sustain their quality of life.
All right, we've dealt with the homeowners question. Now we're going to open up the floor for the audience. Let me see a show of hands of people who want to answer the question. All right. Can we make a little line?
Well, you take one side and then the other side. One from each
Line
side.
up. Line up. Good.
Line up.
Pick a spot.
Don't be shy. Come on up. Okay, the first lady in the booth, top, I have a question. You will have 1 minute to formulate your question. The candidates have 2 minutes to answer. Okay?
You want to turn around?
Excuse me, this is your life.
It's my understanding that $9 million of our $67 million budget is allocated for compensated absences per year. That's approximately, my calculation, 13.4%. Can someone explain this huge amount of money being spent for compensated absences?
Absences
By the borough.
Each candidate can answer the question. If you don't want to answer it and it's been answered by somebody else, that's okay, you pass.
I believe what you're referring to is employees that have sick and vacation time. And unfortunately, by contract, they're entitled to X number of days vacation, X number of days sick time. If they don't use it, they're allowed to carry it forward. The number that you see would be the number if everybody decided that they're cashing out and they're going out tomorrow. we'd be responsible for $9 million. About 6 years ago, the state asked that this be reported so we know, they know, and we know what the liability is. So what this number is, again, is the unused sick time, unused vacation time of the employees of the borough. So it's nothing that we have to pay, but as they retire, which we did have a lot of retirees now, they have to pay now. We have to pay now. And we've been able to keep up to what the amounts are.
John, do you want to answer?
Yeah. Well, again, Jan is correct. It's contractual, and it's every year we look at it, we say we owe this if. I'm not in part of it, so I can smile and say, we need a new labor negotiator, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a labor negotiator that's lining his pockets, but not doing much for the town. How long has the police been working without a contract? What kind of, when there's new hires, are they given the same program where they can carry any amount of sick days forward? We need a tough labor negotiator, someone that can stand up and say no and take it all the way to the end and solve it without going to an arbitrator. So this is something within their control, that's been within their control, that they can do something about. And I'm sure if Martha and I get on the council, we will make a lot of noise about that. Thank you.
Tyler, do you want to respond?
Respond to what John just said. We are fighting the arbitrator. We have a strong labor negotiator. He lost in arbitration, and we are now fighting the arbitrator's decision. So we're fighting back.
But I think the point is, how did we get here to begin with? In business, this doesn't work. You use your vacation or you lose your vacation. In your sick days, if you're sick, you take the days you have. If you're not sick, and hopefully you're honest, you don't carry them forward to the next year. And that's the way it works in business, and that's the way it should work here. And unfortunately, you know, we were cited. There's a State of New Jersey Commission of Investigation. It calls The Beat Goes On, Waste and Abuse in Local Government Employee Compensation and Benefits. And Fort Lee is one of the distinguished towns in here. And it talks exactly about this type of stuff. And you know, even sick pay at the end of the year, if you're not sick and you haven't taken your pay, you can get paid for it. So that's still going on, among other things. You can definitely see this report. So this is something where the council has to be strong and fair to everybody. And that's a very big carryover that we have.
Any response to what's been said? We'll save that for the end. Just make a note of it. Next person in line, young lady. I think your voice can carry. Do you want to use the mic?
No, I think I'm okay, thank you. I was having this discussion on the playground the other day with a mom, and we were talking about the different relationships amongst the people working in the town. And we were just wondering how many people on the municipal payroll are related to one another.
I'm waiting for the answer.
Okay, who would like to tackle it? I'll take that one. You got a relative?
Good girl.
Actually, I have no relatives in Fort Lee, and I actually have civil arbitrations, have no friends either. I don't know. There is some.
Mic is off.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I will tell you, though, that Fort Lee is a civil service town. There are a lot of jobs given out by civil service. For example, the police officers, they pass a test, who's the next gets the job. And I'm not going to say that there aren't jobs that you would consider hand-me-downs, that a father with a son, and actually it's in the police department now, there are fathers and there are sons. But if they're the next one in line, and they pass all the exams, we are responsible to give them the jobs. And as far as anybody else, we follow civil service rules. We post jobs. If people respond to them and they're qualified, we have to hire them. This is not like private industry, as you heard before. There are rules and regulations that we have to go by. And part of the problems that we do have with our labor attorney is that we do get sued because people claim we don't go through what we're supposed to do. So to answer your question, it probably is quite a few. And I can't tell you how many, but in most cases, we have no choice.
Mark, would you like to respond?
I would just like to say that I would just be concerned for the families in times like this. If a family has both breadwinners on the Fort Lee payroll, that if we have to lay people off or make a leaner government, what does that family do? Because they don't have the ability to have someone that works with another town or that works in private business. So I would just be concerned for them. I understand whatever the legalities are, but I think there is just a human concern here.
Isla, would you like to respond?
You know, that's their choice. If there's a family member that wants to work in the town, it's nice to stay around where your family is. Recently, we followed a program where if there's a husband and wife that both work for the borough, one of them gave up their health insurance, so the two of them are on one insurance. So we eliminated paying for two insurances as a cost-saving measure.
There you go. Common sense.
Yes, it doesn't have to be a bad thing that people related are working. As they say, it's a civil service town. They go through the procedure, they pass the test, and they're appointed. But what about people that are related by political party? Or what about people that are related by campaign contributions? Pay to play. That's the real problem. Not so much the nepotism, but the pay to play is a very costly problem that must be addressed. And I would recommend immediately instituting a pay to play ordinance in this town once we get in.
The man in the black.
Lou?
You want to come?
Maybe I'm black and blue, but
Do you need a mic?
I don't think so. I'm loud enough as it is. First thing is, before I say anything, I just want to, in the future, so we don't strangle any candidates, maybe Mayor Sokolich can get a grant for a wireless mic. Is that possible? Not in the budget, okay. I kind of have a personal question, and maybe it's a little offbeat, but this Centurion project has been a real problem for me for many years. And I don't really have an issue with being sued because, hey, they sued because one company gets it and one company doesn't. That's not that uncommon. But having stayed on top of this for many years and watched the project and all the money that I think has been wasted on this, there's something that was in the Record article that has really been bugging me, so I guess I'm going to ask the question. And I don't know whether you can answer, but I guess it has to be an incumbent that answers this question because I don't know who else could. This Tucker Development Company that's issuing the lawsuit is suing the town and also appears to be suing all the council people. How is that possible? I mean, it seems like a silly question. It seems like unless there's something going on we don't know about with individual council people, how can you sue the council people for something that's a project?
Howard, we're sued, and our fiduciary responsibility as council people is nothing, it's not personal suits. We're named because we're the governing body.
It's not personal.
No, it isn't. And again, our